Hello and welcome to Nation News Touchline Report. I am your host, Nick Maitland, and this special edition, we are previewing the young tridents, the Under-20 men at the Concacaf Under-20 men's qualifiers for the championships to be held next year, and the boys are currently in Dominican Republic. So we will be previewing those games and introducing you to those special players. With me today is youth coach and administrator Renaldo P. Gilkes. He's a journalist as well, but he is the best man to guide us through this team and to tell us what we should expect from these boys. First of all, Renaldo, you've worked with many of these guys. Tell me, what do you expect ahead of this qualifying campaign?
First of all, thanks for having me again.
Of course.
This group of boys, I will work with some of them from the primary school age category. Two of them in particular, Zuri Morris and Rayquan Jones, I would work with while at Westbury Primary School. So it's actually an honor. I'm very pleased to see how they've made those steps, those incremental steps within their development to make the Barbados squad. What we can expect from this group is a lot of commitment, a lot of heart, desire. As you know, over the last year, close to 2 years, there hasn't been any football on island. So these boys will be basically itching in their boots to get an opportunity to play and, most importantly, do the country proud. So I'm excited to see not just Rayquan and Zuri, but there are many others in there who would have came through the youth system, whether I would have worked them at primary school or at the club level. And there were some that were, I would consider juniors in the last national squad that I had. But I'm pretty excited, and I'm sure that these boys are as well.
And the boys have games against Bermuda, Puerto Rico, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, three very familiar opponents. And when we come back to Touchline Report, we will be really introducing you to the squad. Welcome back to Nation News Touchline Report. And this is the most important segment of the show. We are introducing you formally to all 20 members of Coach Fitzgerald Carter's Under-20 team. And let me read the list for you. We have Kemar John, Justin Griffith, Zuri Morris, Trey Bayer, Rayquan Jones, Jaden Francois French, Kevon Lucas, Tyreek Bailey, Adio Ford, Nadre Butcher, Honor Bradshaw, Kyle Ford Blades, Jamal Watson Cummins. Help me with this one. Mikalai Jaiko,
Yeah.
Kimani Cox, Tanash Thorne, Jaheim Headley, Kobe Hudson, Janash Janai, and Adam Malaleo. Now, PV, they have a few Premier League players in this team. Kemar John, Zuri Morris, Kevon Lucas, Jaheim Headley. What do you expect from those Premier League players?
Expecting them to bring their experience from playing in the Premier League, and it's always a privilege to play at the highest level at such a youthful age. Going through Kemar John, I remember he plays for Watton, who had just came out, and he had a pretty good run of games just before the abrupt finish of the season. He's one that he was actually one of the BFA Youth Players of the Year a couple of years back while representing Mavericks. So he came through Mavericks, Les Savon, and now playing for Watton. You have Lucas. He was one that I was very excited about when I saw him in the Premier League in his debut season, playing for Notre Dame. You know, being a Notre Dame boy through and through from the time I was 9 years old, played captain and coached the squad. It was good to see a player with his qualities coming through. He is very direct, fast, physical, very courageous. I managed to see some of him when he was at the Garrison School playing. So I expect to see those qualities come true for the national team. You have Zuri Morris, a player who can feature anywhere across the front. He's very athletic, dynamic, strong kid, very tall. I coached him in primary school, and he was always one of the bigger players. Whenever there was a free kick close to the box, you always hear, "All right, Zuri." He was the man, and he had a very good conversion rate.
That's a good shot on him as well.
Yeah, he had a very good conversion rate. And the other kid, Jaheim Headley, he's one that I'm very, very, very pleased about his growth and his development. I remember when I first had the Under-15 team, he would always be, inquiring about when he'll get his opportunity, when he'll get his chance. And it's good to see. I think it's more so one of dedication and having and setting goals. And I'm very pleased to see that he was never deterred and he continued to work. So credit to the guys up in Ellerton, I know, guys like Bobby and Panther, those guys would have spoken highly of young Jaheim Headley. And I'm actually excited to see his partnership on that left-hand side with young Jamal Cummins, who also plays for Mavericks. He's one that he's going to be an exciting player.
Fantastic. Jamal Watson
Yeah,
coming.
yeah,
Don't forget the Watson.
yeah, Watson
there.
coming. He's going to be one of those very exciting players. Dominantly left-footed, and you know what we usually expect from players who have a single left foot. When you look at players like Rivaldo, Messi,
Power and technique.
yeah, and he's very skillful for a fullback. So I hope that nerves don't overcome many of these boys, so that could basically express themselves and display to the whole of Puerto Rico and then the rest of the world who will be watching the quality that we have in Barbados.
Indeed, indeed. Speaking of quality, Rayquan Jones. He is currently a striker.
Yes, forward attacking player.
But you would have known him in his much younger days as a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Tell me about that transition for him and how smooth that has been.
So, while teaching at Westbury and coaching at Westbury, Rayquan was our team captain, but most importantly, our goalkeeper. And that year, remember, he led us to the semi-finals, and you would not believe who knocked us out. Grantley Prescott, but straight from young Devontae Richards.
Oh,
you know, yeah, one of the players I hold very dear. We actually still talk about it from time to time. But Rayquan, he was always very responsible. Right? So it was kind of easy to select him as a captain, but he also had very good hands, and he was good at his feet. So, you know, when you have a youth player who could play with his feet, but have also what we consider safe hands, having him go was always a privilege for us. He allowed us to be very good tactically, but as I say, he was always good with his feet. And in football, it just so happens that the goalkeepers usually transition to forwards, and the forwards usually transition to goalkeepers. They go from one extreme to the next. But Rayquan is one that he's also very technical. So giving him some space. Remember when Silver Sands were in the Premier League? Right. So he played Premier League from like 15.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. And he's one that is highly recognized and regarded up in Silver Sands. He also has a good following in the town area, Orleans, because that's where he originated from. His dad being a former goalkeeper as well, I think he would have helped sway him in that direction initially. But then he then went on to St. Leonard's and passed through the hands of Fabian Messiah, as you know, who has touched many of the players within the youth football arena. He's harnessed his skill and made him a pretty competent attacker. So looking forward to seeing Rayquan.
So you think he might start under Coach Carter?
I believe he has the attributes. Unfortunately for us, we didn't have any practice matches for us to identify who features where, or where players are, which system Coach Carter will play. However, figuring, trying to keep it as close as possible to mirror what's done at the senior level, where he's assistant coach. Maybe they'll utilize the same formation. I think it's a 4-2-3-1 that they use.
Yeah, similar.
Yeah, so in the 4-2-3-1, I could see him playing as a number 10, like the one just behind the forward, looking for those pockets, trying to create some opportunities and maybe even score some of his own.
Fantastic work. We have some overseas players. No, we missed out on some overseas players. Tajio James is one of them, and I think Devontae Richards.
Devon, we told you to have Jamal Williams.
Jamal Williams, Molly.
Yeah,
he's also missing.
Yeah.
But we have some overseas players. Janash Janay and Adam Malalio. Janash is currently in Hungary, and Adam is in Canada at school. Tell me about the impact that overseas players will have, despite not having all of them present.
Well, first of all, the impact that they will have is that they were definitely playing. As you know, we're not playing here, so bringing some match practice and match fitness under their belt will definitely help the team from a physical perspective and also a tactical one as well. I've had the privilege to work with both of them at Kickstart. Adam is, I would say, like one of the most intelligent players I've ever worked with, and having him in the goal, and both of them do bring experience from the last Concacaf competition they went to, the under-15 team under Coach Hart. Janash, I knew from maybe like 4 or 5 years old. His dad played at Notre Dame with me, Jabbar Janai, and he also came through the hands of a coach who was very dear to my heart and who actually was very influential in my career, Andy Wall. So Janash has steadily grown in his path, in his career as a footballer, and then seeing him get the opportunity to go to Hungary. He's not played as a full professional as yet, I believe because of some logistics with his age. So I believe as soon as his next birthday, when he should be 18 or so, that he'll have that opportunity to sign as a pro. But what Janash brings is he's very tenacious. And despite being tenacious, he's also very flamboyant. So he's a good mix. He's almost like a hybrid. You know what I mean?
Very good.
Yeah, like a luxury truck, if you want to call it that. You know, it looks pretty, but can still go through the terrains.
Like a Kevin De Bruyne almost.
Yeah, Kevin De Bruyne. And he
Class, but rugged.
But rugged. His best attributes are his dribbling ability. I think those have been groomed from his days playing in Nelson Street on the hard court. You know, and he's also one that thinks the game, especially he's one that likes to play forward. So what you see from him is taking a lot of risk, but with risk comes reward. So you'll see that from him. Hopefully he can get some goals. And make sure that those who are responsible for him in Hungary will be keeping an eye on him to, you know, to decide what we do next, or, you know, licking the lips to say, hey, we can't wait to release this kid, you know, to mirror what Thierry Gill has already done in Hungary, you know. But I'm looking forward to really seeing these two utilize their experience and exposure while away and playing to help the team out.
Speaking of Thierry Gill, nice shirt. When we come back to Touchline Report, we'll be talking about the staff, the coaching staff, and then previewing the 3 games.
Son, you need to get off the phone sometimes and read the Nation newspaper so you will know what's happening in Barbados and the rest of the world. A good thing just read that the supermarket's open, because you eat every single thing in the house like a pig. Son, come off that phone. I bet you do not even know that the government is offering us a Barbados Economic Stabilization Program, which is a 5-part, $2.3 billion economic plan to support vulnerable households, businesses, and to help we grow our own food. Wait, how you know that? Because I'm a digital subscriber to the Nation's website, so I will get news hot off the press. Oh, I see. I would like to subscribe digitally too. Mama say you know you like to read my Nation newspaper, man. Dad, you got choose. You can buy your newspaper and you can also subscribe.
Welcome back to Nation News Touchline Report. Now, we've introduced you to the interesting names and personalities of our Under-20 playing squad. Now, let's talk a little bit about the coaching staff, and particularly Coach Fitzgerald Carter, who's the head coach, and Coach Kent Hall, who is his assistant. There are other persons on this list, such as the team manager, Mr. Mark Bob Ford, who is the referees manager at the BFA, kit manager, Patrick Mapp, trainer, Chad Boino, a former player of Notre Dame and University of the West Indies Blackbirds. Trainer is Chad Boino. The physiotherapist is Johan Lashley. And the goalkeeper coach is goalkeeping legend Bernard Howell. Now, you are familiar with Kent Hall in particular. And let me just share a little story. I am familiar with Mr. Kent Hall as well. First of all, when I did my first coaching course, I suspect Kent was there as well, and I met Kent, and I got to really know the player. I worked with him. We worked with him on the 2014 World Cup. Yes. When we covered that for another station. And the greatest playing moment of my career was a celebrity game.
The ball was from Kent.
Kent Hall was on my team, and I was just about halfway. I raised my hand and said, "Kent, yeah!" And Kent looked up. He saw me, and he delivered an inch-perfect pass.
And the outcome?
I brought it down superbly and played it to the man in front of me. It was a forward pass. I played as well. But the guy had passed it, he lost it. But that's the greatest moment of my playing career. And Kent Hall was very much involved. And I think that he will be involved in some of the greatest moments in some of these under-20 boys. So we know all about Fitzgerald. Well, mostly. Fitzgerald is the assistant coach of the senior national team. But what do you think about him and Kent as a coach and as a duo?
Well, two of them have been working together prior with a FIFA coach education and mentorship program. So I imagine they would have formed some kind of unison then. All three of us would have done the Concacaf licenses together. So having to work during those courses would have initiated a relationship. But over the last couple of weeks, I believe that they probably would have been having a number of phone calls, small meetings, large meetings with each other, and their relationship as a head coach, assistant coach, is going to be super important. Particularly, you have 13 new players. When I say new players, I mean playing for Barbados for the very first time. So their relationship has to be one that can be mirrored by the boys and can be seen as a unison by the boys because, as we all know together, there's strength in unity. Kent brings with him a world of experience from being a senior national player, as you mentioned. He has been one of the most outstanding youth coaches within the last couple of years while being at Kickstart, being a coach, educator, and instructor for Concacaf. So he's one that a lot of local coaches respect, me included. He's actually, I would consider my brother in football, but he has a very keen eye for detail. He's very, I tell him he can be a bit OCD when it comes to football. He's one that likes to have all the finer details measured and covered because he recognizes how they affect the grand scheme of things. He's one that I actually believe can be maybe a senior national coach these days, and it's very good that he got his feet finally wet here at the international level with these under-20 boys.
Very much so. We have Patrick Mapp. He's always around. He's probably the greatest kick man anybody's ever seen. Mark Ford making his debut. Bob Ford making his debut as a team manager. He's another guy. He pays a lot of attention to detail, and I think his guidance of these young players is very important.
I actually did an article which was published today on Bob, brief one, because as you know, he's very humble. He's one. He has football at heart. He's been one of my favorite referees. Every time I entered football, never sent me off.
Have you ever been sent off though?
Once, just once. Just once. But
2 yellows?
Yes.
Okay.
Against Youth Milan, who actually won the competition that year.
Because you got sent off.
Probably.
Let's say so.
But Bob, he means well, and he has experience in organization of events. And so remember, he was a key member of the David Thompson constituency competition. And then we had the Children's Charity Shield, which is played regionally. I think the last one was in Grenada. So he's one of the key organizers for that. So his organizational skills will be critical there. And he manages probably the most challenging group in local football. The referees.
Big at yourself, Bob.
Big at yourself.
Chad Boino, he's a trainer. I'm not sure of his history in terms of being a physical trainer, but you know he's a former footballer as well. You know him well.
Yeah, I understand that he did his degree in sports science. So maybe he brings those qualifications to the table, and having his experience. Chad has always been a very intelligent guy, you know. So I think that getting this opportunity will do well for him to see the procedure, the do's and don'ts, and basically have an opportunity to give back. Because, short story very quickly, Chad's father, Stephen Boino, I refer to him as my father in football. He was a huge influence in my life. And similarly, I believe he would have had that influence with Chad. So with his experience and with his qualifications, I believe he should do well with the boys.
And Bernard Howell, we all know all about
legendary,
him. Johan Lashley as well. I think he's gone on some tours with some other national teams as well. So those are the officials going with the boys, and I'm sure they will work their very hardest to make sure that the boys are successful. Let's preview these 3 games quickly, Pee-wee. The first one, Saturday, November 6th, Bermuda versus Barbados at 7 p.m. at the Olympico Felix Sanchez. I think we are unbeaten at this stadium.
I want you to give your say what's on that.
Well,
listen, we discuss.
Listen, off air we were speaking about the burgeoning rivalry between Bermuda and Barbados, and for me, I was there in the flesh when Bermuda inflicted that 8-1 defeat over Barbados. So for me, this game is the most important, and Coach Fitzgerald Carter, he was on the touchline as assistant coach when we were drubbed 8-1, and I'm sure he will be telling these boys, guys, this is the most important game. And for me, this is the most important game because when we were defeated 8-1 on July 2nd, everyone in Bermuda was talking about that defeat. Women, men, children, old people, babies, everyone was talking about that result. So we need to rectify that result, and I'm sure, boys, Coach Carter will be really telling those boys this is the game that we need to focus on. But anyway, that's just my little soliloquy.
So 3 points in that one.
We have to get 3 points against Bermuda, and if we can beat them badly, that will be a plus as well.
Much appreciated.
Pee-wee, Puerto Rico versus Barbados on November 8th. We would have played Puerto Rico
and Bermuda,
in the last edition.
Based on what I saw from Puerto Rico, I've had the privilege of seeing their roster. It seems to be a pretty experienced one. They have a number of players playing in Europe, and who's not playing in Europe are based in the US, either playing in the college system or the academy system. So they do bring, an array of quality to them. Most importantly, based on their geographic location, that means that they're playing football. So that's a slight advantage they have on us. However, last time we were able to blank them 4-0. We have the same coach. We have a similar quality of players. So I am confident that we should get 3 points there.
And the game on Wednesday, November 10th, Barbados versus St. Vincent and the Grenadines, our Caribbean neighbors. Bit of Caribbean derby there. What are you expecting against?
We really have a good record against them at youth level. So I'll say we'll take 3 points there. I know that they were preparing well before us. They had a less torrid situation with the COVID situation there. So they had a better opportunity to prepare. However, football's played on the day, but we've always had good results against St. Vincent in the youth department of competition.
3 very important games against 3 formidable opponents, but I'm sure that the Barbados Tridents, the Under-20 boys, they will go and try their best and work very hard. Coach Carter is a task master. He will make sure that those guys work very hard and bring back the glory to Barbados and move on to the tournament proper next year. You can view the games on the Concacaf YouTube page. I think they will be streamed live, and we can all enjoy the action from the Dominican Republic. PB, thanks very much. Thanks for wearing that shirt as well. The autographed Thierry Gale Budapest Honved kit. You know, we always do it in style here on the Nation News Touchline Report. So until next time, be good. If you can't be good, be great. And if you can't be great, be grateful. Take care.